It is wet.
Assume the position. And he's gonna make me stand up.
I should.
I know, as you should, like I said, on the task force is gonna take it. I can take a third seat.
I gotta stick around the legs, no coming right here.
Yeah.
This is almost like a dented
Others were
All right,
saying
could you
he
stand
had-
for the pledge, please?
All right. And he does.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if everyone could just check their phones and make sure they're off or on silent, that would be awesome. Hopefully, we will be back online recording the meetings. Our IT guy sitting to the right of me looked at the camera, so hopefully it's all good now.
It's all good.
I would like a motion to approve the minutes from March 5th, 2018.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence, Kathleen?
I have a resignation from Police Officer Jose Santiago, effective March 28th. Resignation from Police Officer Jeffrey Madden, effective February 27th. Supervisor's report for February 2018. Information regarding the contract for the fire safety trailer for Community Day. Resolutions regarding the EFC grant for the sewer plant. Recommendation from Jason Pitangaro regarding the foam insulation for the new rec building. Correspondence from Barton and Lejuitas regarding the second half of the master plan. Public notice from the Village of Otisville regarding a ZBA public hearing they're having on the 11th of April at 7 p.m. And this is for the application of the Friends of Otisville School to use this property as a community center. The January 2018 fire report. The roll-up dumpster service / tire recycle bids, the minutes from the March 15th bid opening, the police report from February of 2018, that's all I have.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Yep.
Board member reports. What do you got, Matt?
The Comprehensive Plan Committee will meet on Thursday, the 29th of March, here at the Town Hall at 5 p.m. And just one other thing from the Orange County Municipal Planning Federation. 2 items, a memorial scholarship for $1,000 available to high school seniors through an application process, and also a summer internship. Each year, the Planning Federation sponsors a paid summer intern position to work in conjunction with the staff. Support provided by the Orange County Department of Planning. Generally, the intern will work on a selected project or study chosen by the OCMFP under supervision of the staff in the Planning Department. If anyone's interested, the Planning Department of Orange County and Goshen, we can put this on the bulletin board. Phone number, address, and an email for Kerry Scally, and that's it.
Thanks, Matt. Brian?
I'll be quick. Little League had their pancake breakfast over the weekend, very well attended. We'll be rolling into that season hopefully sooner than later. Couple community day things, I'm working on the music part of it. I've been listening to music that you gave me.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's going great. Some talented people in this town, who knew? And that's all I have. I'll have a little more around next week.
Perfect. Don?
I just want to add a little bit to what Matt said about the comprehensive plan. We're into the phase now where we're going to start talking about zoning. We've already done some preliminary stuff about redefining some of the terminology in the zoning laws and redefining some of the zones. But anybody from the public who has ideas of zoning changes that they would like to see made, or you think that should be made, now's the time to start to get active and come to a meeting. One other thing is, I had talked to Jason about meeting me and the sewer plant operator over the sewer plant to talk about some upgrades. We'll do that as the weather gets a little nicer.
Perfect. Jim?
apologize, I had a scheduling conflict, I couldn't make the village meeting. Just the planning board meets this Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Thanks, Jim. I have a few things. We did do a few interviews for a few director positions that we have open. At this time, I'd like to, I'll ask Brian if you could put that we're accepting applications for all counselors now. I think it's the 13th. Yeah, so I was thinking April 13th as a deadline for the counselor applications. That would give them 4 weeks. I'll put it on the board out front, and we could write something up and get it on the website. Collectively, we need to go back over the counselors from last year. There may be a few that have moved on to bigger and better things, but I think the first step we usually do is, as long as the reviews look good, we call and make sure they want to come back and kind of have our base. But I'm sure we'll need additional counselors, so I think it's easy to get moving with that. The only other thing, the map that Matt handed out, I got an email today from the commissioners at the Howells Fire District. We had sent them a letter asking for if they would be interested in selling us some additional property to expand the Howell Cemetery. They are definitely interested, so what they did is they actually sent us their map of the property that they bought. My conversations with Lou and Grosse, he had asked how much we wanted, and I said, I think we'd be happy with an acre, but he said, no, we have quite a few of you. I don't know the answer to 1 acre, how many burials you get out of that once you put a road or something in. I don't know the answer to that, so I thought collectively, if we all looked at it and kind of, Matt, you're probably the most familiar with that area.
Yes.
I'd like to get back to them and see, you know, I mean, they could obviously tell us a price that's just way out of our league, but at the very least, I think I'd like to see if we can at least get an acre or two. That's consistent with what we already have there.
Do we know how big is the existing cemetery? Do we
It's
know that?
521 feet long along the backside, and if you ask them for 100 feet to continue that back line out, that'd be a little over an acre. And if you came down here to the bottom and expanded it 100 feet, you would be at almost, you'd be at almost 2 acres.
So the
But that's
cemetery
something we
now
have,
is
we have
only-
to go look at and see if that would be workable for us, though.
Yeah, there's 2 geographic challenges, we'll say. If you go directly behind the existing cemetery, you're gonna run into a ledge, which is in part of it already. So you're gonna lose space, you know, you're gonna have to, jackhammer or, dynamite the ledge out. The other going, downhill, if you're in New Vernon Road, would be to the right-hand side of the cemetery. You've got, like a swampy, wet area. So I think something, if we maybe had a little input from Jason in terms of, like you said, it gives us an idea of what we're gonna need in terms of, if we do 1 acre or 2 acres, what we'll get in terms of a number of plots to add to it, but also if we can work that low ground to accommodate, burial. I don't know if that's something, do we have material, Dean, like if we were able to build it up or redirect the grade of the land there to make it usable?
Yeah, it's something we can do over time, it's not something we have.
So maybe the first step, I'll see if there's an afternoon where afternoon's better for you, and maybe I can get Jason, and then, me, you, and Jason and Dean will go over, and maybe it'll be at least 40 degrees, and then we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think now probably would be a good time, because you're gonna see as things start to melt, all that, where the water is. The wet spot stays wet through a good part of the summer. I at least part of this, for crop production last year from the fire district, well, the whole parcel, but the majority of it, you have just the way it lays, you got a lot of wet. It was, the middle of July, and, you're turning water out of the ground with tires of a tractor, so, I think it's something we can do, but we just gotta make sure we're getting the right piece.
I think when Chad and I originally talked about it, was basically behind the cemetery, back to the tracks. I don't know how many acres that is, or I don't know about the ledge back there either.
There is some spots that sticks out of the ground, and I'm gonna guess it probably continues what's in there now, kind of that same
Yeah,
track, because I know there's a decent spot that's not.
there's a good portion of the existing cemetery that's unusable because of the ledge.
So I'll definitely, maybe even before the next meeting, if we can set up an afternoon, I'll call Jason tomorrow and see what his schedule looks like. Maybe he can give me a couple of dates, and then I'll just get a hold of both of you and see if that works, and then we'll have more to go by. Meanwhile, I will call the fire district back, tell them we're working on it, so that they know we're working on it on our end. Highway, you're up, Dean.
The roll-off bids. My recommendation is we go with Middletown Carding for both the C and D and the metal. They were the lowest cost for the C and D and the highest paying for the metal. Tires, Sonny Zito bid on tires was quite high. The company that we used in the last 2 years was supposed to send us something in writing, but I haven't seen it yet. They're having a 50-cent per tire increase, which would still be less than Sonny Zito. So, as far as awarding, the only thing I would award tonight is Middletown Carding for the C and D dumpsters, and Middletown Carding for the metal dumpsters. We have no bid for Freon. Sonny Zito bid on Freon, but he put a note in, must be free of Freon. So, that voids is. Middletown Carding did not put anything in their bid. I had to contact them, they've always taken them for us in the past.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to them tomorrow and see.
So we're still safe, waiting on the others, waiting to the next meeting, right?
Yeah.
Is that all you have, Dean?
That's all.
The one thing I have for you, just thinking about it today, because I walked outside and thought, wow, it's starting to get nice out, but in my head at least, is the air conditioning. Can you get the ball rolling with that? Because now we have to get a new unit because of the new heating system. And before you know it, it'll be,
Never received any bills.
we
so
got
far.
0 bills for the furnace that was installed in December yet, so.
I'll call them tomorrow.
I figured maybe we better start rolling on the AC before. I don't know if how that works. I just know it has to fit into the right ducting and all of that stuff. So.
Yeah, it's gonna involve the roof contractor back too, probably. If the footprint isn't the same as the unit that's up there,
Okay.
it's gonna require some modifications.
Can we, it's too big of a unit to put on the ground, like most air conditioning units?
Commercial air conditioning units from each.
Yeah, but the senior center's on the ground. Well, this building ain't that, you don't AC the whole shop over there, so it's only for this.
Not my expertise.
I don't know, maybe we can ask at least, and then we don't have to worry about altering anything with the roof.
I'll call Steve Dodd tomorrow, see what he's got in mind.
Okay.
Yeah, by May, you may need it.
I hope so. I hope so. I did receive a report from the fire department for January, but I didn't forward it because we already had January's last time when we had our meeting. Police department, Paul, you are up.
A few things. So I spoke to the generator company today, and they're coming Friday to install a new controller. They think that it's the controller. I spoke to Mike Romano. Mike Romano doesn't necessarily, he doesn't disagree, he doesn't agree. He thinks there's still something wrong with the solenoid. So he's gonna try to reach out for them and make sure that they have checked that. I have no idea what that even is, so it's outside my expertise. They are gonna go through it, and they said that, they believe it is fixable, so, we'll have more.
We'll go that route first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we gotta fix it either way, unless it's something really astronomical. So we'll know more, after Mike, I spoke to Mike for quite a bit this afternoon, so he's gonna work with us on that. There's the, Chad had asked me to get the fire, trailer for the community day, so I got the contracts, but we need an authorization for me to sign it, so that's on the agenda. I think it's the same language as last year, from Kathleen. We have, there was a grant, from New York State for radar units, which we put in for, which we got, which it's amazing the turnaround. They obviously have them in stock because I got it within a couple weeks. So it saves us about $1,300. It's a brand new unit. And again, they were giving those out.
You have that? You have that?
No.
Okay, so you wanna look at that before we vote on it?
They said it's the same contract as last year. To tell you the truth, I didn't compare the two. And we would, obviously, just to go back, Dean would have to pick it up for us and bring it back. Because, you know, same setup as last year.
I actually, I feel like I've had 100 meetings in the last week, but we were actually thinking, when we pick it up, to actually use it that Friday for summer rec, because we'll already have it. We thought that would be a really cool thing for summer rec while we already have it, to have everyone from summer rec go in there and, you know, go through the smokehouse. And we could still leave it stationed in the same area where we're gonna put it, and then just walk the kids up, and, you know, they can only so many at a time go through, but I think they would all think that was pretty cool to do it.
Yeah, because I think the contract, it's what, like a week they give us?
Yeah, and that's actually what, to me, what changed from last year, because remember last year, it was like a whole month that we were responsible, and then we changed it to a week. We're like, what if it goes 10 other places in a month?
Right. And they, yeah, and for them, it was a catch-all.
Yeah.
But, and they said, obviously, everyone would have insurance, so yours only covers the days you have it, but, yeah, I think David, or maybe even Glenn, or somebody had an issue, and I think they changed it for us, so. You have the resignations on your, agenda, so you can act on those. In addition, I'd like to have you hire, a new officer. Dominic and Chad met with her today. Jamie Johnson, Otisville, or rather Mount Hope resident, Otisville mailing address. She has just over 20 years of police experience. We would hire her as a police officer, part-time competitive, and that would fill one vacancy, which would, with these two, leave 2 other vacancies. We have done other interviews that will probably, not next meeting, but within the next 2 meetings, probably be bringing back some other people as well. And if anyone has any questions about the personnel issues, we can certainly go into executive session and answer them. But that is all I have.
What effective date are you looking for?
April 1st.
What department did she come out of?
Middletown.
Uh,
Last name Johnson, first name James, but you know the family, right?
Village, Otisville, Diane?
A couple of quick things. Apparently there was some concern during the storm where we had the power outage for 10 hours about the state facility having been out of water. And something was said at the last meeting here, which was the first I heard about it. I thought I'd really been out of the loop. But as it turns out, what the actual situation was that the generator at the booster pump station failed.
Failed.
Frank was immediately and continuously in touch with the plant superintendent there. at no time were they in danger of being out of water. They had over 27 feet in their holding tank. They agreed together it was probably a good idea to go on water restriction because they didn't know how long it would take. But the generator was back up and running by 8:30, so they barely even touched what was in the holding tank during that time. So just to let
The
everybody
guy that got
know.
done with us, that got us going, he went then down to you
Yes.
guys.
Yes, and within an hour he had it up and running, so.
They made a lot of money that night,
Good. The next village board meeting is April the 5th, and we will be starting at 6:30 because we have several public hearings that evening. We have our budget, which the proposed budget shows a 0% increase again this year. We have a local noise law, which we are amending to model the language in the town's noise law, so it'll be a little bit easier for the police to enforce. We have an amendment that we're proposing for parking on Main Street. I've already talked to the chief about that. Right now, there is no overnight parking in the municipal parking lot except in the back area. And we had a lot of complaints this winter because the back area is really not very well lit, and I'm not there at night, so I hadn't even realized. So we are going to lift the restriction on parking in the parking lot, so that the people who have no other place provided for them, who live on Main Street and have no other place provided to park, because they predate zoning. The people who live in Brogan's, the people who live up over Mix, they will be able to park overnight in the parking lot. At which point, when Paul and I have already talked, we want to strictly enforce the no parking on the street. And we'll do that in a soft way. We'll make sure we get the word out to everybody, move your cars into the parking lot at night. And hopefully that will resolve everyone's complaints.
Isn't it a municipal lot anyway to begin with? No? So how can you,
Restricted?
yeah,
Because there's a sign there that says no parking overnight.
well, the sign is.
The village board can pass ordinances based on their parking lots. So what happened is there was some issues, we issued some tickets, and then that caused the complaints about the lighting, which I think,
Right.
the tickets were fine,
It
but
just all snowballed, so.
it raised some awareness to the
Right.
village board about some other issues.
And what we did was we had to step back and really look at it and say, what was the intent? When this law was put into place, what was the intent? And the major intent is to get the cars off of Main Street during the night so that in the winter they can plow, in the summer they can clean the streets, you know, to keep Main Street looking good. You can't have cars there all the time. But if you're going to tell people that they have to move their cars off the street, then there's some obligation to provide good parking for them otherwhere. And our zoning requires that the landlords provide the off-street parking for their tenants. But as I said, at least two of those establishments are 100 years old or more, so they predate the zoning, and there was no requirement back then. So this should resolve a lot of problems, we hope. And the only other thing I really have is to remind everyone that despite the fact that we were left out of the Times Herald Record article yesterday, there is a village election tomorrow in Otisville. They called, they asked for who was running, what time the polls were open, and then, so they're supposed to print a correction tomorrow. Polls are open if anyone asks you from noon until 9 right at the village hall.
Perfect.
That's it, thank you.
Thanks, Diane. All right, so let's do this first. How about a motion to approve Middletown Karting as the sea and dumpster hauler for our cleanup, and also the metal hauler for our spring cleanup?
I'll make the motion that we use Middletown Karting for the C&D removal and for the collection of the metal.
Second?
That's for both spring and fall.
Oh. I will amend that resolution to reflect all 2018, spring and fall cleanup.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, I would like a motion to accept the resignation from Police Officer Jose Santiago.
I'll make the motion we accept his resignation.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I would like a motion to accept the resignation from Police Officer Jeffrey Madden.
I'll make a motion, we accept his resignation.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
I would like a motion to approve the supervisor's report for February 2018.
Make a motion to approve the supervisor report for February of 18.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
And David, you said this fine, this,
Yes.
okay. So I would like a motion authorizing the police chief, because his name is already on here, to sign the contract with the county for the smoke trailer for our 2018 Community Day.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kathleen, would you mind reading the two resolutions?
Sure, the first one is a motion and a second designating an authorized representative, Supervisor Volpe, to execute the grant agreement and any and all further documents, instruments, and agreements necessary to effectuate the grant funding for the EFC for the sewer plant.
I would like a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Make the motion.
Second,
Second motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
And the second one, he just said is, should be a motion and a second to authorize the municipal contribution toward project costs for the EFC
Yes.
grant for the.
So I'll explain this after we do it. A motion to approve the resolution as read.
I'll make the motion, we approve the second resolution.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So basically, the Hidden Valley Sewer Plant is done already. Everything is done. But the state grants don't move as quickly as the state requirements, so we're required to have it done. So in contingent of getting the grant, you have to prove that you have enough money to pay for the rest of it. Well, we've already paid for the whole thing, so the whole thing has been paid for. So the second resolution, now that they're getting up to actually funding our grant, it's kind of like rewinding 18 months. So we've already paid for it, so there is no additional fees coming out. We've already paid for it, just simply getting our money back, because we already have the receipts for the whole entire kit and caboodle.
Apologize, don't know what that was.
I like those extra. Waiting for that guy to jump out.
Brian's new title.
No.
The recommendations for the installation, so Jason called, had, I don't know if I actually have that. Yeah, I have it here. So his recommendation is that we use Phonco. Again, the highway department's working on all of the items that need to be done prior to this being done. And I was just over there, they are moving along, that one part's out already. Walls are, everything's, yeah, everything's coming along really good. So we will be doing the electric, we will be doing, roughing in all the electric and stuff prior to this being done. But, in order to keep the ball rolling, I'd like to, approve Phonco tonight, so that when we're at that area, we can get on the schedule and, continue on. So my recommendation, or I would like a motion to approve Phonco installation for a total amount of $41,885 for all of the spray installation for the community center.
Make the motion to approve foam co-installation for a total of $41,885.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trash bills we did. I would like a motion to approve the additional agreement to finish the master plan with Barton and LaJudas. I'll be requesting that you authorize me to sign the additional supplemental contract, which will at this time not exceed $15,000. And in any event that it is to exceed $15,000, that will come back to this board, but we don't foresee it going any higher than $15,000 to finish the master plan.
And just a note, that's a cap. If, based on the way they bill, if it's less than that, then whatever the dollar figure is would be at that total. So, I'll make the motion to approve the supervisor to sign a contract.
Second?
Didn't we already sign the contract?
Yep.
We signed the contract with the provisions for an addition to it. We actually have another
Which would be a
contract?
separut contract,
Yeah.
correct?
You actually have a separate
Yeah.
contract?
Yeah,
I'll second it.
It was done as a letter agreement.
yeah, it was, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would like a motion to approve Jamie Johnson as a part-time competitive police officer effective April 1st, 2018.
I have a couple of questions. Could we have executive session?
Sure.
To answer them, and then we can take care of them?
I would like a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay our bills.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So let's do, that is, Dean, you only have that one, right?
That was it.
Okay, so I would like a motion to do executive session for a personnel issue.
Make the motion under executive session for personnel issue.
I'll
Second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, yeah, I was just letting you guys know we got it. I don't know, it was really weird. Did you look at it when you went by?
Been better, yeah.
Been worse too.
Yeah.
I'm right. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't need the house cemetery. Not a good year so far.
No, we were on the Mount Hope Plains Cemetery, and it's enough headaches with that. I'm gonna just turn it over to that.
I mean,
That's in the village, isn't it?
I mean, the new law will be the same in towns.
In
It's
essence,
funny,
yes.
as I said,
Our
I don't know how many years you've been
old
dealing with it now, and you
Talked about
have this money set,
decibels and, you know,
you're not allowed to
there's
spend.
no equipment.
By
Hey,
state
you
law.
need a meter.
Right,
And
so
we
we
lived off the
adopted
interest
what
when
Karen
there was
uses, which
interest.
is called the reasonable person standard. So if
So we
it's annoying
keep
to a
weaning
reasonable
our
person, the police can,
Funds down, lower and lower and lower, you know, and it gets to a point
That
where
is not gonna work,
I gotta pay
because
the state
not
to
gonna work.
allow me to
The
spend
village has a
some of
snowball.
the funds just for our
Uh-huh.
operating purposes, just.
If somebody complains about someone else's snowball,
Right.
what are the village do about their snowball?
Well, first of all, you know, I'm sure the municipalities are
Right.
exempt from their own laws, so, but.
They
all
are to a
that-
certain
that's
degree.
in there.
Now,
Everybody's so concerned, oh, we
That's
gotta
in
raise
there.
money.
I mean,
So I use my
there
snowball every time, because I'll go out and do my driveway at
What do
2 in
we
the morning,
care?
because
Let
I
it
don't
go
work.
under.
No, it's in.
I don't care, give it to the village, give it to the
I am,
village.
I'm just saying
There's
that,
a
Yeah,
board.
there's
because I have a neighborhood
We're
street, you
concerned.
pay, you let one fire truck go off, crazy.
Theoretically,
Well, what is
So,
a
that's
reasonable
what you make.
person?
It's not-
What is
That's
that?
right, that's
still
very,
gonna bury people in it,
villas are
Somebody's-
exempt, but
somebody's gonna be
Over noise,
responsible to manage
they
it.
don't have to control that. That's environmental, so if somebody called the right place, that's totally different. And I mean, the village,
Sticker
you can't give the village summons,
No.
but over noise, then that's different, that's not the same. I not me, I don't care, I mean, I don't.
Well, if, for example, people complain, and they have since I was a little girl, about the garbage truck starting up at 4 in the morning.
Crazy.
It's a necessary evil, there's nothing we can do about
No,
it,
you do about it, yes.
you know,
Listen, they wanna complain,
yeah.
there's something to complain.
But no,
They-
there's a whole list of, you know, there's times for things like lawn mowing and all that. We just standardized it all. All that was there before, but
Right. But see, lawnmower, now if I start my motorcycle,
Yeah,
what is that?
He's a
That thing's
certified
loud.
pyrotechnic.
That's louder than lawnmowers. So that's,
so
so that's
you
my,
can't, you can start it, you can drive it, you can't leave it unattended and idling
Oh,
for
no.
more than, I forget, 15
Does he
minutes.
know how to spell?
15 minutes, the whole time we have, but I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, daily things that because somebody going crazy indoors. And
So the
the
other.
guy that comes to the town every morning with his tractor trailers, hauling me all kind of noise, and that moron police chief is not around the summers around. They come down Highland Avenue, whipping every morning, way over 50. And that moron in there hasn't done a thing about it yet. Every morning.
With the way our law was written before, there was nothing they could do because they didn't have the equipment to.
Go get them trained. It's only a decimal meter. That you sit on the
Oh,
side,
I know.
right, and they come by and they read the meter, they write the code, and then they're gonna sum it off the
I
meter.
understand that.
And then if you hear them over
Zoning board?
500 feet, you don't need a meter.
Zoning board, yeah.
You can just write
And
them.
canceled the
Well,
meeting
it-
for this month
if it
because of
is-
the weather.
Projecting beyond the
So if
limits
they
of
have
the
it,
property
it'll be
line in
probably
the village, that's gonna
because
happen. I mean, I can hear the people
yeah.
next door to me
But I
in their
mean-
house talking. You know,
Right. I mean, but it's like,
You know, so that's where the reasonable person comes in. If they're in their
Well, the
house talking
agendas
and it's
go on-
annoying
would
me,
go
well,
on.
too bad for me. I gotta figure out a way to deal with
as far as the
that.
sound meter, if it's so far, I don't need
Yeah.
the meter
No,
itself.
when they
Yeah.
have a
You
meeting,
just write the
when there is
summons
an agenda for
from-
the zoning board.
I'm standing a
it gets
block
sent to
away
me
and I
and
hear this
forwarded
guy's
to
car
the
idling for 40 minutes with no
Right.
mufflers.
Right,
I don't need the sound meter to go
Exactly.
and write him.
right.
But the guy that
No,
comes
you're
through
planning board.
with his, no exhaust on his, diesel truck,
Oh,
you
you're
would not-
still,
you don't
that wasn't
need a
changed.
sound
That's
meter,
the
right?
vehicle and traffic thing.
It also, on the sound, you don't, it also, it can be either
Yeah, she
way.
worded it.
They'll travel other way. I'm not arguing, saying
No, no,
that
no.
you can write that guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
You don't
sure
come
she
down the
has it,
road
because
and
it's-
I'm up in the morning, my wife goes to work. And I hear them guys, I know the time they come through,
Yeah.
because I oversleep, I know exactly time.
Yeah, you're good.
There's 4 of them come
So
through every morning.
What do I have to do?
We don't have a lot of problems.
No,
The main problems we have had, and it was 2 particular houses, right in the same area, coincidentally, where people would, and they were doing it on purpose. They would put speakers in the windows facing out and blast it, because it was annoying the neighbors and they knew it. But, you're always gonna have those people.
Yeah, you are.
Back to you, although it's been a heck of a year, you look like $1 million.
Oh, thanks.
So,
We have a lot, we're gonna have like 3 guests.
Really?
You up in the morning, right?
Who's 3? Well, I knew
You see people
Camille was
out there,
coming.
right? I mean, I'm not, they gonna break, they come moving. I mean, I live around Highland Avenue. Oh, yeah. You're right, 100%.
Because they're gonna put a weight on
Good.
the bridge, because the fucking bridge is falling.
Close one more, go down.
That bridge
is gonna
Yeah.
They're gonna-
one of these
they're
days,
gonna
this
put a
point,
weight
city
on
is
it.
right.
They're gonna put a weight on
So Mike.
Now,
Why
and
is
that,
that?
and then you're waiting for, how high you
Start
can
that
get.
kind of thing.
So Mike Green's
That-
probably
that-
on.
And that can affect all tractor
So
trailers.
he reached out to me and I said, absolutely.
It probably will be legal,
Explain what you want to do.
Just for fire trucks.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll have.
well, it would have to be for fire trucks, but I don't know as far as weight wise, like
Let's hope, I'm just hoping with it being
a
a
tractor
walk
trailer,
schedule, so to speak,
you can do
that,
legally, you go 8,000.
Right.
I'm gonna ask Kathy to put it out
A
again.
tandem dump truck, you can go,
Yeah.
unless you got a tri-axle, I think you
Yes.
can go
Yes.
like up to 72 with a tri-axle.
Yeah.
66,000,
66,
6,600 regular
She puts it
tandem,
out, like,
you know,
over the
33 on
weekend,
a
so
single
it's like
axle,
right before.
33, 37.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know when they're gonna do it, but I know they're gonna do it.
So the plate they put that now, you saw it sunk in.
But, you know,
I mean, that bridge is shot.
I went up to Mexico in the morning, got coffee before I went to work, and here comes this friggin' log truck,
that's all.
Every day?
Yeah.
He's over.
a tri-axle,
He's over that tractor.
pulling the trailer.
Pulling the trailer,
Full
pulling the log and the old rail ties. He's over all day long and nobody stopped that guy.
What's his trucks running lately?
The log truck, that's over, he's overweight.
Yeah, they're since you're the ties for the gas mains.
With the sand, but he's overweight
Timbers.
all day.
Oh, I know, my son's been freaking out how many of them going up Mountain Road there.
But then they come around
They come right down Island Avenue?
Right down Highland Avenue all day long.
He was on the committee.
Hey, that's a quite line, maybe. You don't stop quite.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but don't break mine off the air.
Don't stop the line.
When this guy comes through all day long, I know he's overweight.
Hell, if it was overweight, it's carrying water. Every one of them timbers is soaked in
Yeah,
the
so,
mud.
and
and
all
all
the
I see him on Facebook.
And you don't know like 5G.
I don't know.
Bringing them from Deer Park. Getting there, they coming around.
No, they do both of them. They come out of school now. That way. And that way, they do both ends.
Back on that.
They come there,
I would like a vote against me coming out of Eldridge, or whatever the hell it is, in Deer Park, goes on down, and then I think they're picking them things up.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I would like a motion to hire Jamie Johnson as a part-time competitive police officer effective April 1st, 2018.
I will make the motion to hire Mrs. Johnson.
Second?
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public participation. Come on up to the podium.
I just, it's very,
Oh, it's real quick?
real quick.
Start the
Start the
time.
timer. I
Time's
wanna
up.
know how long it took. I just want I missed the measurements on the actual Howell Cemetery as it is, just for curiosity's sake. You had 521 feet one way.
Well, it doesn't say because it only shows you two of the boundaries that border the property that was surveyed, so I can't tell you the size of the cemetery. I can show you what two sides of it are, but it
Well,
doesn't tell me the road.
is it this way and this way?
Correct.
Wouldn't you think it would be a square?
Not necessarily, no, it's definitely
It
not a
doesn't
square.
have, okay. So what's the other measurement?
333.6 feet.
Thank you. And not the square. Not complete. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sure. Question?
Sure.
You were talking about, running power to, oh, not running as an electric, right, to the, community center? The old pool building?
Got power.
Yeah. Who's doing that? You said somebody's, one first name, that was all I heard.
Dean, the highway department's gonna run the power through the
Oh,
walls.
roughing the electric?
Roughing
Yeah.
the electric.
Our highway-
There's actually already electric to the
Yeah,
building.
there's already electric, but now that the walls are all empty, and the new code requires a certain amount of outlets per foot, everything's just wide open. So we can run the electric now and then just have an electrical inspector look at it. It's easier to do before anything is sprayed or,
But you, oh, well, would be a whole lot.
yeah, do it without the power in there is,
Yeah, a whole lot easier.
yeah,
But you're gonna have an electric inspection being
Of
done on
course.
it?
of course,
And is the person who's doing this an electrician, or does he know what he's doing?
to run an outlet.
I don't know how to run an outlet, but I could tell you, oh yeah, I can do it.
Oh, yeah, they're fine. They're fine to run an outlet.
They've done this before?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
They're spending all this money, would hate to see it burn down.
We're not exempt from building codes, we're not exempt from inspections, so we have to follow all the same rules as the
Gotcha.
homeowner.
Well,
I know
who's
there was
doing it?
something about being exempt about something before.
We're exempt from our own zoning if we had to be.
Oh, that's
But we're not exempt from building codes, we're not exempt from electrical inspections, that's all.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you.
Plus-
Appreciate your,
Plus our little Jason will go over there and make sure everything's done right,
now who's Jason?
the engineering company.
Oh, okay. You know, you throw these first names around and it's like, okay.
We're all family here, first name basis.
What
No, we're not
engineering-
family. Well, yes, we are.
What engineer, what's his name of his engineering company?
KC. No, it's,
Zero and
No more Casey, it's the other guy.
there you go.
What?
The name?
Doetsch, that's the last name. It's Pitangaro, P-I-T-I-N-G,
P?
P-I-T-I-N-G-A-R-O, and D-O-E-T-S-C-H.
Boy, that's a mouthful. Thank you.
It is.
Jason, what do you say, Jason?
Anybody else? Frank?
Yeah, I
Miss, did you have a date for the next zoning meeting or a meeting that the public would be able to speak?
Well, all of our meetings are open to the public,
I wonder what
and
we'd be
and
able to
he
come.
will take some input, but we don't have a public hearing scheduled on it yet, not until we define what we're gonna
The
do.
next-
Thursday is our next meeting.
The 29th, 5 PM,
29th?
here at the town hall.
Then, I did have a question on the water, that the county's taken from us, or the city of Middletown's taken from us. Is any news or anything?
There's no update whatsoever.
It's hard to believe, because Amy's Kitchen is being built, that they're not moving ahead. I mean, I don't think that we can depend on the county to notify us. I think we purposely have to go chase after this thing, because, you know, between the crap that the city of Middletown pulls and the stuff that this county pulls on us is gonna leave us in the dust. I mean, they're working on buying more of the Indigo watershed too, and I'm sure that's in the works. We should be part of that discussion too.
Have you been by the transfer station in Goshen? Amy's Kitchen's been stalled for months and months, they haven't done a thing in there yet. Boyce Excavating was in there and they did the entranceway.
Yeah.
And there's been nothing done in probably 4 or 5 months.
Have you been around the backside where the big construction site is? I mean, not that, that's just the entrance way here.
How do you get in there?
You go down by the, I want to call it the head shop, whatever the.
You can go back?
The places, and go down in there. I mean, it's a massive place, and I haven't heard of any thing that's holding them back, besides being winter.
We're also an interested party with the DEC on additional permits, which they would have to apply for. So I don't think the DEC is gonna not.
I don't know, but just to sit back and not be proactive, it just seems crazy to think that they ought to be doing some well drawdown tests, or they're not doing them, and they're just taking the water.
Frank, you said the county's trying to buy more land, you said
No, city looked at.
the city is.
Yeah, they're looking to buy all the way up to Kohler Road, I guess, really, all the way up to, from the Indigo Reservoir in the woods there, whatever, all the way through and on up to, I don't know if it's a state grant that the city of Middletown got to increase their watershed. But I know the man that owns the property that is negotiating with them to sell that property to them, so there is motion, there is stuff going on.
David, can you?
Yeah, let me see what I can find out.
It's terrible to be just reactive to what they're doing instead of try to be proactive. I mean, I think we can see what the county's done to us with CPV and so many other things, and I mean, they totally ignored us in this deal to start with, and now, I mean, it's too late, really. I mean, they're gonna take this water, but I mean, it would be good if we had our own water studies to see how the wells are affected, not leave it up to them. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
Same one with the geologist report? Isn't that the same area where the geologist is supposed to give us a report?
Correct. They're supposed to shadow all of the tests that are going to be done. So hypothetically, if Middletown said there's a gazillion gallons, our hydrogeologist would either say, yes, they're right, or no, they're not, so that the testing is done thoroughly and accurately.
Okay, so explain to me, so let's just hypothetically say, no, it's not. What's our recourse? Nothing, because they're doing it anyway, right?
Well,
It all goes through the DEC and the permit process, and if they don't meet the DEC requirements, then they can't do it.
Okay,
It's
be a first.
It's all up to the DEC.
So it's DEC, you gotta check it.
They're
Right.
the ones who regulate it.
Right, but the testing that has to be done before they'll give them a new permit, none of the testing has been done yet.
And the new permits, you're gonna be notified about, supposedly.
Supposedly, yes.
Okay then.
Anybody else? Diane?
Just real quick, when Frank mentioned Kohler Road, it triggered, Ken is not here. David, did you?
I sent out an email today.
Okay.
So I'd gotten that message on Thursday. I was out of the office Thursday and Friday. So I shot a message out to my contact today, so hopefully I hear in the next couple days.
I was shocked. During the time, we're talking about Spectrum and the unserviced section of Kohler Road. During the time that the town was negotiating with Spectrum, those residents received multiple letters from Spectrum that it was being worked on and they would be receiving service. But I guess as soon as somebody called up recently about getting the cable hooked up, they said, same thing they've always said, well, that'll cost you $3,000 to run the line.
Do any of them still have the letters?
Probably not, but I'll check.
Yeah.
I'll check. All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that you had received it.
Anybody else?
When was the switch on from Time Warner to Spectrum? Was it sometime in that period? Like, weren't you working with
Yeah,
Time Warner at one point?
It was actually before I believe we started the cable franchise process.
Okay.
At least that they were dealing with Charter. Charter is the
It was Charter.
owner of the
Yeah.
entire thing, but Spectrum's now the company. Which oddly enough, you still write your checks to Time Warner Cable, so.
Correct.
Chad, who is the electrician or electrical company that is doing the pool building?
There is no company that's doing it currently. We haven't, anything above what we could personally do ourselves hasn't been bidded out yet.
Well, personally ourselves means whom?
Our highway department.
Okay. So is it adept to that?
Is it what?
Are they adept to doing electrical work? That's what I'm asking.
We have a plumber, an electrician, a
Okay.
mechanic.
I didn't know that. Just asking.
Yep. Board comments. Jim, you're up.
I have nothing. Quick question, do we get that, speed, sign in on Thursday?
No. So Dean actually just said that I don't know why it keeps getting delayed, but Dean said they're delivering it tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So he will be staying over and taking it off the trailer.
Perfect.
We've
So
had
it has to go through highway because we need the forklift.
Forklift to get off the truck,
Yeah.
yes.
So hopefully tomorrow, but,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't really use it, so I'm not.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
There was a truck like tilted over almost on its side a couple weeks ago, and I was concerned that was the trailer the truck was on, but we did some research and it's not, so.
All right, that's it.
Don?
No, I think I'm good, no comments.
Brian?
I'm good. No comments.
Matt?
No comments.
Just an update, we got a few openings left in the AED CPR. We do still have a couple of weeks left, but as of right now, we have at least 5 openings. And on the first aid, which we can accommodate many more people, we have 10 openings left. So if you know anybody and they're a resident, it's free education, and hopefully something that could help them help someone else. I would like a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Championship.